Hi, everyone. This is Brandon LaMarche. This is my teacher's guide to tort law for EDL 850, Module 12. So our textbook, uh, tort law or tort liability, in this case, is the action or civil wrong committed against one person by another that causes harm. If injury occurs, a liability charge is usually what follows. Liability may result from the deliberate actions or unintended actions involving negligence. Now, there's two types of tort we'll talk about. One is intentional tort, and the other is unintentional. Now, with intentional tort, it is the intent to harm an individual. These examples include assault, battery, and libel, and a lot of different other examples. The what unintentional tort is the opposite. It is basically a situation where there is no intention of harm, but harm does occur. This can come in the form of a person who is in charge failing to exercise a degree of care, which usually is an act of negligence. So some of these include negligence, breach of duty, proximate cause, injury occurring, and standard of care. Now we're going to go through a couple of court cases that describe tort law. We're going to go through background of those cases, reactive actions, which are immediate actions that I would take, and then proactive actions, which would be actions taken later to ensure that that incident wouldn't occur again. Now, our first case is Frame versus Como. This is where a teacher was administering a spelling test, acting as a substitute for another teacher. A student was being disruptive and loud and was asked to leave because of their actions. Because of refusal by the student to leave, the teacher had removed the student physically, which caused the student to fall and hit a podium as well as the blackboard in the front of the room. The teacher was accused of assault and battery with legal action being taken. Now, as a reactive action, I would hold a hearing with both parties present and interview anyone else who had witnessed the event privately to assess the situation. I'll make sure that I get all the information before making any sort of decision. I would also put the teacher on temporary leave because there was an incident where assault and battery of a child may have happened. Now, as proactive action based off of this situation, I would make sure to include in the teacher handbook suggestions or a policy for behavior management to make sure that um, teachers do not go overboard with their management of student behavior, to make sure that procedures are being taken, steps to be taken in an appropriate manner. I would also include a policy where teachers can call down to the office to escort a student down to an administrator's office. This will allow that teacher to stay in the classroom so that students will remain supervised and that order can remain in the room. All right. My second case is Flanagan versus Cannon. This is where a fifth grade student sustained a severe injury that required surgery after a student had pushed him in the gym locker room while they were changing. The gym teacher was not present due to talking to a group of students outside of the locker room. Earlier in class, students had been rowdy and required a lecture from the teacher to talk about good behavior. The gym teacher was accused of inadequate supervision that resulted in injury, and legal action was taken by the student's parents. So, reactive action I would take would provide a hearing to make sure that individuals involved can divulge information of the incident. I would like to know why students were being rowdy that caused an injury. I wanted to know why the teacher was not present in the locker room while they were changing, and I would like to know why that teacher did not continue to supervise, knowing well that they had been rowdy earlier in class. I would also review the supervision policy with the gym teacher to ensure that they understand their responsibilities to supervise. Some proactive actions I would take. I would make sure to review the supervision policy with all my teachers at different points of the year to make sure that they are all providing safe guidance to all their students. I would also require all gym teachers to be present in the locker room while students are changing and to not allow them to leave the locker room until all students are ready to go to class. Make sure that no student is unsupervised. All right, my next case is Mitchell versus Cedar Rapids Community Schools. This is where an underage student with a disability was raped off campus during school hours. Because of her IEP, the student was being closely monitored, and a call would have been provided to home if she had ever missed class. The student left during the school day, and the school failed to notify parents of her absence, even though they had recorded her absence. The school was sued for failure to protect the student and failure to supervise the student. I would make sure, as an administrator, as my reactive action, to hold a hearing to review with all staff who had contact with the student to assure a timeline and see where possibly she would have left without notice. As a proactive action, I would make sure to provide school officers at school exits and entrances throughout the day, and make sure students present any sort of authorization that allows them to leave early with the office signature. I would also make sure that any entrance or exit that's not being monitored is either locked or has an alarm on them. And for any unexcused absences, to make sure that those are relayed to parents as soon as possible. My fourth case is the Hoyam versus Manhattan Beach City School District. This is where a 10-year-old student left before the end of the school day and was struck by a motorist at an intersection. This resulted in injuries but did not cause death. The student had left school without the school staff's knowledge. The school was sued for failure to adequately supervise the student. As a school administrator, I make sure to review the actions the student took that allowed them to leave the school unnoticed and to assess areas where the student would have left the school easily. Just like the last case, I would make sure that any door that is not being monitored, that is locked. I would also contact a parent if any excuse absent was obtained during the day. And I would also make sure to create a supervision plan for staff so that entrances and hallways can be monitored throughout the day. All right, my last case is Barrett versus the Wichita School District. In this case, a high school student had collapsed at the football field and died the next day due to a heat stroke. The student resembles signs of a heat stroke, but was instructed by coaching staff to get a drink of water to remedy his symptoms. This practice was also the first of the season and was held over the summer during hot temperatures. The school was sued for negligence as a result of the death. Um, I would, as my reactive actions, I would make sure to place the head coaching staff and any staff involved on leave until a hearing can be held to gather more information. I would make sure to limit the amount of practice time and monitor temperature levels to ensure that practice would not occur at high temperatures, and to make sure practice follows any state rules. As a proactive action, I would make sure to provide a program that informs and trains coaching staff to identify the treatment of heat stroke for athletes and require summer practices to be held in mornings or evenings in order to combat hot temperatures. Currently, high schools do follow both those guidelines, so this would be an easy transition for those. All right, so here are my references for Module 12. Thanks for watching. Hope you learned something, and bye.